Blessed Lord, brothers and sisters, this is not a Shabbat lesson per se, this is an impromptu video. This video I'm going to title it the death of the petrodollar, brothers and sisters. The death of the petrodollar, right? I'm going to put things in context with scriptures. I like to connect things with scripture because all what is going on in the earth right now is foretold through scriptures that these things will happen. You understand? So I like to bring it into context and bring to life the scriptures in this modern time to show you that these things are happening according to what thus said Yahuwah. Alright, brothers and sisters. So let's turn to Revelation 18, 1 to 24, 1611 KJV. And after these things I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and become the habitation of devils, and the hole of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her. So the kings of the earth are the government heads, brothers and sisters, right? The politicians and your governors and your prime ministers and your presidents, all these are considered as kings, brothers and sisters, right? Right? And the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacy. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people. So we know that the sheep of his pastors, his people, is stiff-necked Yashrael, descendants of Hebrew slaves. He's telling you, come out of her, come out of the Babylonian system, the church system. Be ye in the world, but not partakers of it, brothers and sisters. Unfortunately, we have to be in the world. And while we are in the world, we have to eat, we have to drink, we need a place to sleep, and a roof over our head. So in order to provide these things, we have to work. But that does not necessarily mean you have to mimic or mirror their wicked lifestyle, act and do what they do. Do you understand, brothers and sisters? That's why I said, come out of her, my people. Right? And I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues, for her sins have reached unto heaven, and Elohim hath remembered her iniquities. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her double according to her works. In the cup which she hath filled to her double. How much she had glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her. For she said in her heart, I sit a queen, and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire. For strong is Yahuwah Elohim who judgeth her. And the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her, when they shall see the smoke of her burning standing afar off, for the fear of her torment, saying, Alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise any more. The merchandise of gold and silver and precious stones, and of pearls, and of fine linen, and purple, and silk, and scarlet, and all thine wood, and all manner vessel of ivory, and all manner vessel of most precious wood, and of brass, and of iron, and marble, and cinnamon, and odors, and ointments, and frankincense, and wine, and oil, and fine flour, and wheat, and beasts, and sheep, and horses, and chariots, and slaves, and souls of men. And the fruit that thy soul lusted after are departed from thee, and all things which were dainty and goodly are departed from thee, and thou shalt find them no more at all. The merchants of these things which were made rich by her shall stand afar off from the fear of her torment, weeping and wailing and saying, Alas, alas, that great city that was clothed in fine linen, purple and scarlet, and decked with gold and precious stones. You see that? Who decked in purple and gold and precious stones, brothers and sisters? The Catholic Church. Look at their attire. Look at their churches, the pagan churches, right? And for in 1 hour so great riches is come to naught, and every shipmaster and all the companying ships and sailors, as many as tread by sea, stood afar off and cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, What city is like unto this great city? They cast dust on their heads and cried, weeping and wailing, saying, Alas, alas, that great city, wherein were made rich all that had ships in the sea by reason of her coastlines. For in 1 hour is she made desolate. So you see the dual description of the powers that will be destroyed. It also talk about countries, talk about political machines, right? It's talking about cities, brothers and sisters, right? Rejoice over her, thou heaven, and ye holy apostles. For Elohim had avenged you on her, and a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea, saying, Thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all. And the voice of harpers and musicians, of pipers and trumpets shall be heard no more at all in thee, and no craftsman of whatsoever shall he be shall be found any more in thee, and the sound of milestones shall be heard no more at all in thee, and the light of a candle shall shine no more at all in thee. The voice of the bridegroom and of the bride shall be heard no more at all in thee. For thy merchants were the great men of the earth, for by the sorceries were all nations deceived. In her was found the blood of prophets and of saints and all that were slain upon the earth, brothers and sisters. Right? So without further delay, right, let's watch this video. Blessed love.
Libya ranks 24th in the world when it comes to gold reserves. Libya ranks 24th in the world when it comes to gold reserves. Libya ranks 24th in the world when it comes to gold reserves. You mentioned gold in Libya. One of the first images that may come to mind is that now famous statue in Tripoli. It shows a giant golden fist holding an American jet fighter model. It turns out that Libya has much more gold than that. And this comes to light as questions emerge about what money Muammar Gaddafi has to fight his battles, since there are international sanctions imposed on Libya and assets have been frozen. Now, as the Financial Times first reported, Libya's central bank holds close to 144 metric tons of gold. That's worth roughly $6.5 billion.
It's one of these things that you have to plan almost in secret, because as soon as you say you're going to change over from the dollar to the something else, you're going to be targeted. There were two conferences on this, one in 96 and another one in the year 2000, called the World Mataba Conference, organized by Gaddafi.
The last time the world traded in gold standards, a United States President, Richard Nixon, had this shocker waiting for the world. The year is 1971, and the petrodollar age is about to begin.
I have directed Secretary Connally to suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold or other reserve assets, except in amounts and conditions determined to be in the interest of monetary stability and in the best interest of the United States. In full cooperation with the International Monetary Fund and those who trade with us, we will press for the necessary reforms to set up an urgently needed new international monetary system. I am determined that the American dollar must never again be a hostage in the hands of international speculators. It's an action to make certain that American products will not be at a disadvantage because of unfair exchange rates.
In 2009, After many unsuccessful attempts, Gaddafi will call on the Muslim and African nations for the last time to join hands in forming a gold currency for oil trade that will rival the dollar and help fight inflation. But here we are, a decade later. 143 tons of Libyan gold have never been found. Yet whatever happened lies in history. Now, Zimbabwe has distributed 2,000 gold coins to her commercial banks. Each coin weighs a troy ounce and has a purity of 22 carats. Its value was estimated to be $1,824 at launch. Once they are purchased, an individual can trade for cash but can only do so 6 months after the original purchase was made. The coins are said to reduce Zimbabwe's hyperflation, that's currently well worth over 5 billion. So, what do you all think about this Zimbabwean move? And should the rest of Africa collectively move towards the adoption of gold currency?